The truth is, most men are terrified of being alone. They can't stand the silence, the stillness. They jump from one relationship to the next, always needing someone to fill the space. Why? Because deep down, they don't want to face themselves. But for those who embrace the solitude, something different happens. The distractions fade, the noise quiets down, and for the first time, you see the world for what it is, and you see yourself for what you could be. This is why the longer you stay single, the more powerful you become. Your mind sharpens, your standards rise, your time belongs to you, and without even realizing it, you evolve into something others can't control. But make no mistake, this transformation comes with a price. Before we break it all down, support this channel by subscribing and leaving a like. It helps these insights reach the men who need to hear this. And if you're serious about becoming unstoppable, stick to the very end, because I'm about to give you the most controversial insights no one else will tell you. Number 1. You no longer need external validation. While most men spend their lives desperately chasing approval, seeking a woman's validation, and bending their identity to fit into someone else's expectations, the man who stays single long enough escapes this trap entirely. He no longer wakes up wondering if he's liked enough, noticed enough, or praised enough. He stops trying to prove himself to women, to society, to his friends. He becomes untouchable. The moment a man no longer needs a woman's validation, he unlocks a level of power that few ever reach. Because when he doesn't seek approval, he automatically commands it. When he isn't begging for attention, he becomes the center of it. When he doesn't chase, he gets chased. A man who refuses to bend his standards for a woman's affection is a man who holds all the power in the room. This is why women are drawn to the men who don't need them, because she knows every other man is trying to impress her, but you're the one who doesn't care. And the moment she senses that indifference, it changes everything. She starts wondering why you don't seek her validation. She questions why you're different. She tries to understand what makes you so detached, so in control, so unavailable. And that mystery alone makes her obsessed. Most men will never experience this because they're too busy chasing instead of choosing. They modify their opinions, soften their words, agree to things they don't believe in, all because they think it will get them the girl. But the man who stays single long enough realizes that he is the prize, not her. He understands that the moment he starts valuing himself more than her opinion, he wins. He stops jumping through hoops to impress her, and suddenly, women start jumping through hoops for him. They call it toxic, they call it arrogant, they call it intimidating. But deep down, they respect it. Because every woman wants a man she can't fully control. A man who isn't desperate for her attention. A man who walks away at the first sign of disrespect. And when a man fully embraces this, his entire life changes. He no longer asks for permission to be himself. He no longer explains his standards. He no longer compromises on his values just to keep a woman interested. She either meets his standards or she doesn't belong in his life. And when a woman senses this level of self-respect, she starts competing for him, not the other way around. A man who understands his worth never chases a woman's validation because he knows he is already complete. He stops seeking love to fill a void because there is no void left to fill. The world doesn't know how to handle men like this. Society has trained men to worship women instead of building themselves, to lower their voices instead of speaking their truth, to compromise their masculinity instead of owning their nature. But when a man rejects this programming, he becomes a different breed. He sees what most never will. He watches men lose themselves in relationships, weaken themselves to keep a woman happy, sacrifice their dreams to meet a woman's expectations, and he chooses a different path. He chooses himself. He chooses his mission over his emotions. He chooses his focus over fleeting attraction. He chooses to build his kingdom before inviting anyone inside. And because of this, he moves differently. He speaks with certainty, not hesitation. He walks with authority, not doubt. He doesn't ask for respect, he commands it. And this level of self-assurance scares people. It makes weaker men uncomfortable. It makes women curious. It makes society angry because the world expects men to be weak, controlled, emotionally dependent. But the longer a man remains single, the stronger he becomes because he starts seeing the truth behind everything. He realizes that women don't respect men who worship them. They respect men who don't need them. That success doesn't come from pleasing others. It comes from pleasing yourself first. That confidence isn't found in seeking approval. It's found in rejecting it entirely. And once he steps into this power, there's no going back. Most men waste years of their lives trying to be liked, trying to be chosen, trying to be good enough for women who don't even bring value to their lives. But the man who walks away from this cycle evolves into something rare, something dangerous, because the moment he stops chasing, his entire energy shifts. He no longer speaks like a man who needs permission to exist. He no longer acts like a man who is afraid of being alone. He no longer moves like a man seeking approval. He operates like a man who is so focused on his own life, his own mission, and his own power that nothing and no one can shake him. And that is the ultimate transformation. That is what separates men who stay weak from men who become untouchable. That is why the longer you remain single, the more powerful you become, because every second you are alone is a second spent refining yourself, sharpening your mind, building your empire, and removing every ounce of weakness from your soul. And by the time you decide to let someone into your life, you're not choosing out of desperation. You're choosing from a position of power. You're not seeking a relationship to fill a void. You are selecting a woman who earns her place. And that alone changes the entire dynamic. That alone makes you the one in control. And that alone is why most men will never reach this level of self-mastery, because they are too afraid to be alone. They are too addicted to a woman's approval. They are too desperate to be liked instead of feared, needed instead of respected, accepted instead of admired. But the men who embrace solitude, who sharpen themselves in the fire of their own discipline, who refuse to bow to modern relationships designed to weaken them, those are the men who will own the future. Those are the men who will stand at the top while the rest fight for scraps. Number 2. Your standards become sharper. When a man walks away from the distractions of modern relationships and focuses on himself, something fundamental changes. His standards evolve. He stops tolerating the nonsense, the manipulation, the half-hearted efforts from women who believe their presence alone is enough. His patience for games disappears. His ability to see through the facade of modern dating sharpens like a blade. He stops wasting time on women who bring nothing to his life, who expect his attention without earning it, who assume that his energy is something to be casually consumed. The moment a man steps away from the dating scene, his perception of value shifts. He starts demanding more from himself, and in doing so, he starts demanding more from everything around him: his career, his friendships, his environment, and especially his relationships. He is no longer blinded by lust, desperation, or loneliness. He no longer entertains meaningless conversations, shallow connections, and relationships that exist out of convenience instead of value. His standards sharpen because he sharpens himself, and suddenly the world starts treating him differently. Women feel it instantly. She can sense when a man has options, discipline, and purpose. She can see the difference between a man who accepts anything just to not be alone and a man who chooses selectively because he knows his worth. And in modern dating, where most men are thirsty, desperate, and weak, The man who operates with high standards becomes a rarity, an anomaly, a force she cannot manipulate. But this shift comes at a cost. Not every woman will qualify for him anymore. The ones who relied on their looks alone, disqualified. The ones who play emotional games, exposed. The ones who expect a man to chase them without offering anything in return, ignored. And that's where the real power lies, in the ability to walk away, in the refusal to settle, in the unwavering commitment to never compromise his values for momentary pleasure. Because while most men are chasing validation, lowering their standards just to keep a woman interested, breaking their own rules just to be liked, the man who remains alone long enough to see the truth becomes immune to the traps that keep others stuck. He watches other men sell their dignity for attention, compromise their dreams for a relationship that drains them, sacrifice their peace just to keep a woman happy who never respected them in the first place. And he knows he will never be that man. He understands that attraction isn't built through weakness, it's built through strength. He recognizes that a man who knows he doesn't need a relationship to be fulfilled is the most dangerous kind of man. Because when a woman meets a man who refuses to be manipulated by her emotions, her beauty, or her attention, she fights for his approval. She senses the difference immediately. This man doesn't flinch when she pulls away. He doesn't chase when she tests him. He doesn't react when she tries to provoke him. Because he knows one truth that most men ignore. Women respect the man who is willing to walk away. When a man is truly committed to his standards, everything changes. The way he moves, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself, it all commands respect without ever needing to ask for it. His presence alone communicates something most women don't encounter. A man who refuses to beg for love, who refuses to entertain low-value behavior, who refuses to be part of the weak, approval-seeking masses. And that is what separates him from the rest. He doesn't complain about modern dating. He rises above it. He doesn't cry about women's expectations. He exceeds them effortlessly. He doesn't whine about the lack of quality in the dating pool. He simply refuses to fish in shallow waters. His life is too valuable, his mission is too important, and his time is too sacred to be wasted on anything or anyone who doesn't align with his vision. And when he does decide to engage with a woman, it's not because he needs to, it's because he chooses to. He selects carefully, deliberately. He tests as much as he is tested. He doesn't get excited over a woman's looks alone. He wants to know what she brings beyond that. What does she offer besides beauty? What does she contribute beyond her presence? Does she add value, or does she only take? Can she support a man on a mission, or is she a distraction in disguise? If the answer isn't clear, she is removed. Not with anger, not with resentment, but with indifference. Because a man with high standards doesn't argue, he simply moves on, and that alone makes him irresistible. Because when a woman realizes that a man's attention is not easily won, that his validation is not freely given, that he is not moved by her games, she will do whatever it takes to qualify for him. The longer a man stays single, the more dangerous he becomes, because he realizes he never needed what the world told him he did. He doesn't need a relationship to be complete. He doesn't need approval to feel valuable. He doesn't need to settle just because society tells him he should. He builds himself up until he is the prize, until he is the one who decides who gets access to his world, until he is operating on a level so high that only the most exceptional women even qualify for his attention. This is the power of solitude. This is the strength of high standards. This is why the longer a man stays single, the sharper his vision, the higher his expectations, and the less nonsense he is willing to tolerate. Because once he has experienced the clarity that comes with being free from the distractions of low-value relationships, there is no going back. Number 3. Emotional strength replaces emotional neediness. The moment a man removes himself from the chaos of modern relationships and the endless cycle of seeking approval, he starts to feel something powerful happening inside him. His emotions stop controlling him. He no longer reacts out of desperation, out of loneliness, out of a need to be accepted. He starts thinking with absolute clarity. Every man who remains single long enough will face the battle that destroys most men, the battle between emotional control and emotional neediness. Weak men let emotions dictate their every move. They fall for manipulation. They break under pressure. They tolerate disrespect. They react instead of deciding. But the man who learns to master himself, he becomes unshakable. Women test men constantly, not because they want weak men, but because they are wired to filter out those who can't control their own emotions. A woman will push. She will provoke. She will create situations to see if he breaks or remains solid. And most men fail these tests without even realizing what happened. They argue, they beg, they complain, they become weak in front of her. And the moment a man becomes emotionally weak in front of a woman, she loses all respect for him. She may not even know why, but she will feel it, because a man who cannot control himself is a man who cannot be trusted. This is why emotional strength is the greatest advantage a man can have, because it makes him untouchable. When a man can sit in discomfort and not react, when he can be challenged and remain unfazed, when he can face disrespect and simply walk away without explaining himself, he immediately separates himself from 99% of other men. Women are addicted to emotional chaos. They live in an emotional world where feelings change by the second, where words mean one thing today and another thing tomorrow. And when she meets a man who is immune to this, who remains logical and calculated no matter what she says or does, she cannot help but respect him. A man's ability to control his emotions is directly linked to how powerful he is in every aspect of his life. This is why weak men always lose. They act on impulse. They let their emotions dictate their responses. They let a woman's mood control their state of mind. They lose control of themselves, and in doing so, they lose the respect of everyone around them. The longer a man is single, the more he learns to rely on logic over emotion. He learns to pause before reacting, to analyze before responding, to think before speaking. And when a man operates at this level, he becomes impossible to manipulate. No woman can play games with a man who doesn't react emotionally. No argument can shake a man who chooses silence over drama. No situation can break a man who remains calm when everyone else is losing control. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens when a man faces himself alone, without distractions, without anyone to soothe his emotions for him. This is why most men fear solitude, because when they are alone, they are forced to confront their weaknesses. They can no longer blame others for their failures. They can no longer use relationships as an escape from their own problems. They must either grow stronger or stay weak forever. But the ones who embrace this transformation, who sit in silence and let themselves evolve, who learn to take control of their emotions instead of letting their emotions take control of them, those are the men who become dangerous. Those are the men who walk into any room with presence, who never flinch under pressure, who never lose themselves in chaos. And that is what separates ordinary men from men who dominate their reality. A woman will always be drawn to the man she cannot control. She will always be curious about the man who doesn't break when she tests him. She will always crave the presence of a man who stands firm, no matter how much she tries to shake him. But most men will never experience this, because most men will always be too weak, too emotional, too reactive. They will always lose themselves in arguments, in jealousy, in insecurity, and that is why most men will always be replaceable. But the man who removes emotional neediness from his life, the man who can walk away from any situation that disrespects him, the man who never begs for attention, the man who sees through manipulation without ever reacting to it, that man is rare. That man is respected. That man never chases, never explains, never lowers himself to meet someone else's expectations. That man lives on his own terms, by his own rules, with a level of self-respect that most men will never understand. Most men fall apart when they get rejected. A powerful man shrugs and moves forward. Most men beg for a woman's attention. A powerful man gives his attention only to those who earn it. Most men are terrified of being alone. A powerful man understands that solitude is the birthplace of kings, and this is why the longer a man stays single, the stronger he becomes. He learns that his emotions are nothing more than temporary waves, waves that do not control him, waves that do not dictate his actions. He stops chasing happiness from relationships and starts creating happiness from his purpose. He stops seeking comfort in women and starts building discipline in himself. He stops allowing external circumstances to define his value, because he knows his value comes from within. And when a man reaches this level of emotional mastery, he becomes unstoppable. The world cannot break a man who is emotionally unshakable. No woman can manipulate a man who remains in control at all times. No challenge can destroy a man who has trained himself to think before he reacts. This is the path that separates the weak from the powerful. And most men will never take it, because most men are too addicted to comfort, to validation, to emotional dependency. But the ones who do, they rise, they conquer. They become men who walk through life with the type of strength that others can only admire from a distance. They operate on a level where no argument, no rejection, no temporary feeling can ever shake their foundation. They understand that emotional control is the key to power in every area of life: relationships, business, success, leadership. And by the time they realize how far they've come, they look around and see that they have already won. Number 4. You gain an unstoppable focus. When a man steps away from relationships, distractions, and emotional attachments, he enters a state that most men will never experience, a state of pure, unstoppable focus. This is the moment when his mind sharpens, when his goals become crystal clear, when everything that used to drain his energy suddenly becomes irrelevant. He no longer wastes time texting women who don't respect him, chasing relationships that don't serve him, or indulging in mindless conversations that lead nowhere. His world shifts from seeking validation to achieving dominance. He becomes obsessed with self-mastery, with his mission, with his own personal evolution. The longer he stays single, the more his mind recalibrates, redirecting all his energy into what actually matters: his purpose, his money, his fitness, his empire. And in that moment, something terrifying happens. He becomes untouchable. Because when a man stops being distracted by the temporary pleasures of modern relationships, by the emotional ups and downs of women who don't deserve his time, by the societal expectations that tell him he should settle down instead of level up, he becomes the most powerful force in any room. He is focused when others are lost. He is driven when others are distracted. He is relentless when others are weak. Most men will never reach this level of focus because they are addicted to comfort. They spend their days scrolling through social media, looking for quick dopamine hits, watching meaningless entertainment instead of working on themselves. They stay up late, texting women who bring nothing to their lives, waking up exhausted, wasting their best energy on people who do not contribute to their future. They convince themselves that they're being productive when in reality they are running in circles, never moving forward, always stuck in the same cycle of distraction. The man who remains single for long enough breaks free from this prison. He starts to see every hour of his day as an opportunity to sharpen his mind, to strengthen his body, to build his empire. He understands that every second wasted on meaningless distractions is a second stolen from his future success. He stops living for the moment and starts building for the future. He doesn't chase pleasure, he chases greatness. He doesn't waste time entertaining low-value women. He invests time in making himself the kind of man who doesn't need to chase. He understands that focus is the ultimate superpower in a world designed to keep men weak and distracted. This is why men who are focused on their mission always end up more successful, more respected, and more desirable than those who are lost in the chaos of modern relationships. Because focus is magnetic. When a man operates with absolute discipline, when he prioritizes his goals over fleeting emotions, when he builds his future without hesitation, people start paying attention. Women start noticing the difference. She can feel when a man has no time for nonsense, when his energy is too valuable to be wasted, when his attention is something that must be earned, not given freely. And suddenly, the same women who ignored him before are now drawn to him. Not because he chased them, not because he begged for their attention, but because he built himself into a man who doesn't need them. And that is the most attractive thing a man can be. A man with purpose, a man with direction, a man who is too busy conquering his world to be distracted by someone who isn't adding value. A man who has true focus doesn't waste time explaining his decisions, justifying his standards, or apologizing for his ambition. He doesn't feel the need to convince anyone of his worth because his results speak for him. He walks into a room, and without saying a word, people respect him. They can feel that he is different. They can see that he operates on a level that most men will never reach. They can sense that he is on a mission, and nothing will stop him. And that is what separates leaders from followers, kings from peasants, winners from the forgotten. Because while most men spend their lives waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for permission to be great, the man with relentless focus simply takes action. He wakes up early before the world distracts him. He trains his body with discipline, knowing that strength is the foundation of power. He builds his finances, knowing that money is the key to freedom. He cuts off anything and anyone that doesn't align with his mission, because he understands that greatness requires sacrifice. Most men will never have the courage to do this. They will stay trapped in their comfort zone, surrounded by distractions, watching time slip away while they chase meaningless validation. They will tell themselves that they'll start tomorrow, that they'll focus eventually, that they'll get serious later. But later never comes, because every day wasted is another day closer to mediocrity, another day stolen from their potential, another day spent living at the mercy of their emotions instead of mastering them. And this is why the men who stay single long enough to develop ruthless focus will always end up at the top, because they are willing to do what weak men will never do. They are willing to say no to distractions, no to mediocrity, no to the easy path. They are willing to suffer now, to sacrifice now, to grind now, because they know that discipline today creates freedom tomorrow. When a man has unstoppable focus, he doesn't care what society expects of him. He doesn't care if women approve of his lifestyle. He doesn't care if people understand his mindset, because he knows that most people are too weak to live at his level. He sees through the illusion of modern relationships where men are told to prioritize love over legacy, pleasure over purpose, comfort over conquest. He refuses to be one of the many men who waste their best years chasing short-term pleasure instead of long-term success. He understands that the moment he locks in, the moment he commits to his path, the moment he removes every ounce of distraction from his life, he becomes unstoppable. And at that point, he is no longer chasing success. Success is chasing him. Number 5. Relationships become an option, not a need. A man who has spent enough time alone, focusing on his mission, sharpening his mind, and cutting off distractions, reaches a point where relationships are no longer a necessity. They become a choice. He no longer enters relationships out of loneliness, out of societal pressure, or out of the desperate need to have someone beside him. He doesn't see a woman as the missing piece to his life because he has already built himself into a complete man. And when a man reaches this level, everything changes. His entire energy shifts. He no longer feels the pressure to settle, to pursue relationships that don't align with his mission, to tolerate behavior that doesn't meet his standards. He stops accepting just any woman into his life and starts choosing with absolute precision. He no longer values a woman for her looks alone. He looks at her character, her mindset, her ability to bring something to the table beyond just her presence. And the most terrifying thing for modern women, they can sense it immediately. They know when they are dealing with a man who isn't afraid to walk away. They know when they have met a man who doesn't need them. And that alone makes them fight for his attention harder than any other man they've met before. Most men enter relationships because they think they have no other choice. They fear being alone. They fear rejection. They fear what society will say if they reach a certain age without a wife, without kids, without the traditional life path that has been drilled into their heads since childhood. But the man who has spent years building himself, refining his mind, and focusing on his empire, sees through the illusion. He understands that a relationship should never be something he depends on for happiness or purpose. He knows that the right woman should add to his life, not become his life. And because of this, he is willing to walk away from anything that doesn't align with his vision. He is willing to say no to women who expect him to compromise his standards. He is willing to remain single for as long as it takes until he finds someone who meets his expectations, instead of lowering himself to fit hers. This is why a man with true power never settles. This is why he never chases women who don't bring value, because he understands that he is the one who gets to decide who enters his world, not the other way around. And this is where the modern dating game gets flipped upside down. Most women are used to men bending over backward to impress them, changing who they are to win them over, spending money, time, and energy to prove their worth. But when she meets a man who doesn't play that game, a man who isn't affected by her beauty, a man who looks at her with the same level of evaluation that she is used to applying to men, she doesn't know how to react. She starts questioning herself, wondering why he isn't desperate like the others. She starts investing more effort, trying to win him over instead of the other way around. She starts acting differently because for the first time she has met a man she cannot manipulate. And that is what changes everything. When a man no longer treats relationships as a requirement for happiness, when he no longer sees love as something he needs to validate his existence, when he walks into every interaction with a woman knowing that he is the one making the final decision, he immediately separates himself from 99% of other men. He is no longer part of the weak majority, the men who will do anything just to be accepted, who will tolerate disrespect just to keep a woman interested, who will change who they are just to avoid being alone. He is a leader, not a follower, a king, not a servant, a man who dictates the rules, not one who follows them. Most men fear losing a woman, but the man who has spent years alone, working on himself, understands that no woman is more valuable than his own self-respect. He doesn't stay in relationships that drain him. He doesn't tolerate games. He doesn't chase a woman who is unsure about him. He doesn't beg. He doesn't plead. He doesn't lose himself just to make a woman stay. And because of this, he commands a different level of respect. When he walks into a room, he carries himself differently. He moves with confidence, not desperation. He speaks with authority, not hesitation. And every woman around him can feel it. She can tell that he is not like the others. She can tell that he is not a man who will bend under pressure. She can tell that he is a man who would rather be alone than be with the wrong person. And that alone makes him irresistible. The longer a man remains single, the more clarity he gains about what he actually wants. He no longer sees relationships as his purpose in life. He no longer believes the lie that he needs to get married by a certain age, that he needs to follow the traditional path just to be considered successful. He defines his own success. He builds his own legacy. He creates his own future without needing anyone else to approve of it. And because of this, when he finally does choose to let a woman into his life, he chooses wisely. He chooses based on value, not desperation. He chooses based on compatibility, not convenience. He chooses a woman who fits into his world, not one who expects him to abandon his world to fit into hers. And this is where most men fail. They let relationships consume them. They get into a relationship and lose their focus, abandon their mission, forget who they were before they met her. And in doing so, they lose the very thing that made them attractive in the first place. But a man who has spent years forging himself into the strongest version of himself does not make this mistake. He understands that a relationship should be a complement to his life, not the center of it. He understands that his mission must always come first. He understands that a woman should bring peace, not chaos, support, not drama, stability, not distraction. And if she does not meet these requirements, he has no problem walking away. He does not waste time trying to change her, trying to convince her, trying to fix something that was never meant to work in the first place. Because he understands one simple truth. There are millions of women in the world, but there is only one of him. His time is rare. His energy is valuable. His attention is something that should be earned, not given freely. And any woman who does not recognize this is simply not meant for him. Every moment you spend chasing, settling, or compromising, you are stealing from the man you were meant to become. Every second wasted on distractions, on meaningless validation, on relationships that drain you, is a second you will never get back. You were not born to be average. You were not meant to be weak. You were not designed to follow the path society has forced on you. The longer you stay single, the more powerful you become. Not because you are avoiding relationships, but because you are choosing yourself first. You are building, evolving, transforming into the kind of man who no longer begs, who no longer tolerates mediocrity, who no longer lets the world dictate his worth. And that man, he is rare. He is unstoppable. He is the one who commands respect without ever needing to ask for it. If this message spoke to you, do not just sit there, act. Comment below, I refuse to settle. Subscribe, like this video, and support this channel, because by doing so, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping every man out there who needs to hear this truth.